So we thought that we would have each of the panelists speak for about 10 minutes or so. There are no hard timelines here. The topic is very, very important. You probably know that bullying can actually ruin your life. We've seen kids bullied to the point of killing themselves. We've seen the community misreact to serious bullying situations. So with this thing, it can be very, very tragic. And so we thought that we should have a night where we bring in people like we have at the front, just to help us understand what happens in the bullying, what can we do about it? Can we as a community or as private individuals do anything about it?
Well, we're a network security consulting firm. Businesses pay us to hack them before the cyber criminals do. We find their weak spots, tell them where they are, and help them fix it so that they don't get hacked and get all their identity and intellectual property stolen. How many people and their kids have iPhones, Blackberries, whatnot? Everybody, right? Everybody know that there's a GPS built into each and every one of these? Okay. How many of you tell your kids to disable the GPS when they take the pictures? Because God knows kids love to take their pictures, right? Anybody? Okay, perfect. Let's say, well, let's go for bullying. It's more, I guess, for cyber stalking would be more what it's for. But you take a picture, it embeds the GPS. All the kids have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, I guess for businesses. Anything you upload has that GPS information embedded in it. You can find exactly where it is. You say, oh, well, here's a picture of my dog. Okay, now you know exactly where your house is. When you're on vacation, cyber criminals can of course go and do it, but let's keep on track with bullying. The bullies can find out exactly where the kids live without having to track them, follow them home from school, whatnot. They can find them out exactly where they are at any time. How many of your kids use Foursquare? Anybody know what Foursquare is? No. Okay. Okay. How about Facebook's check-in service? Kids probably use that. Yeah. So you're going to know exactly where you are at all times. Anybody can find out, where anybody is at any time with these things.
In fact, in the Globe and Mail this morning, there's a story about a professional woman in Ottawa, does not live in Ottawa. She went on Foursquare at a coffee shop, and a guy comes in, shows her picture on his phone, and she found that kind of creepy.
Yeah, we do that. We've done that demonstration quite a few times. We show people that going into your, again, this isn't on topic, but you can go into any of your coffee shops, hotels, whatever. The wireless that you're using in there, you can grab that information easily. We do the demonstration. We show you, we can pull up your Facebook, we can pull up your Twitter, we can pull up anything that you're looking at while you're there. Bank information, it can be shown. So again, sorry, that's off topic, but you can pull off, for kids, if they're in a coffee shop doing whatnot, anybody that has this ability, and let's face it, a lot of kids have the technology. I mean, they're built right into the phones, especially maybe not the iPhones, but the Androids.
So I guess it's saying that if they're on Facebook in a coffee shop and some bully wants to take their information, and he can start with their password, start posting stuff as if it was them.
Exactly.
On Facebook.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
I should also say the police will talk to you if you talk to the police. When you use Kijiji, you know what Kijiji is? They're recommending don't use it. Or have that buyer come to that intersection, because very often the crooks will use Kijiji to find out where you live. They drive by it. They look, they walk in your house, look for security equipment, and then when you're gone, they break in.
Well, I'm a student success teacher here at Sir Winston, and basically what my job is to work with the at-risk youth and get them to move towards graduation. Some of the things that we're seeing here doesn't affect students that are only at risk, but it affects everybody. It's probably best if we start with Lauren. So I'm going to defer to him if you don't mind,
Sure.
because the way cyberbullying progresses, it begins at an early age, and then when we get here, of course, it changes. So it's different.
I had the occasion today to go into my classrooms and ask students who owned their own cell phone. In grade 4, 2 out of 25, up to 50% of the students in grade 7 and 8 owned their own cell phone, if you can think of 12 and 13-year-olds. That's, given what my colleague down the table has told you, that's an incredible amount of information to be sending out, an incredible amount of access to technology for someone who is 9 or someone who is 12, 13, or anywhere in between. My biggest challenge as an elementary principal with the development of technology and social media is the depersonalization of communication. It's far too easy for someone to create, I can't count the number of times that I have stopped students who have told me they've created false profiles in order to try and fool another student. It could be it's always a joke that starts out that ends up being something that it shouldn't later on. People can have conversations without seeing each other. Now with the proliferation of cams and such, there's more chance to see the person. But back in the days of the first MSN, when cams were not a part of it, the things that good, I believe all kids are good, but the things that good kids would say to other kids without having the personal connection, without having the benefit of a reaction. So the insults that might get hurled or the things that would be said without the benefit of nuance or tone or any type of creative part of the communication that would help understand. So not only is the person saying the insult or saying the joke, whatever, not only are they not benefiting from being heard or being interpreted correctly, but the person on the other end is alone in most cases being insulted or following through. So many of the media ads will take that type of angle when they show very dire circumstances of cyberbullying where you're constantly bombarded with these messages, negative messages, and it's too easy for kids to fall into that pattern. The number one thing that I recommend to parents that they do is get to know the security settings of things like Facebook and MSN. But I also recommend that they remove computers from bedrooms, and they put computers in common spaces in the house where they can be readily supervised. And I hate to tell you that it doesn't happen. Parents will not go to that length, and it's scary because the incidents of cyberbullying still go on and on and on. People taking photos with cell phones now and video, being able to post that very easily. And again, having access to other people's information, posting videos of other kids under someone else's name. You know, the number of ways that you can to depersonalize your own interactions with other people is very scary. Because really what we're trying to do, and all the programs that try to combat bullying, try to access the personal realm. But if you're building up this depersonalized realm, it's, you know, we have to supervise our children. I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's going to be supervised, you know, and I say that now and everyone can laugh. But if that is the one thing I've learned as an elementary principal, kids need to be supervised, and kids need to know when they've crossed a line, and they need to be brought back to where they're a normal human being again. The legislation, Angela and I are going to talk a little bit both about the legislation, but recent changes have permitted principals. It was always a vague line, but now it's been codified into the Education Act that if something happens off of school property that impacts the school environment, the principals have the duty to respond to that. Not just the right, but the duty. So when at Vineland's graduation 2 years ago, some grade 8 girls got upset at each other because of dresses and were bullying each other back and forth on text message and on Facebook that night. It went well into 4:30 in the morning for a grade 8 graduation. The next day, when a parent comes and plops down all the evidence on your desk, it is my duty as the principal to respond to that. It's the duty of school staff to be aware of that. My teachers hate dealing with cell phones. The school rule that we've set up, which we think is pretty avant-garde, is that cell phones for themselves as a phone device stay in your backpack. But we like to promote the use of technology. It's a great learning tool when used properly and when you're supervised. And so in each teacher's classroom, the teacher has the prerogative to invite students to use their technology. Whether it's something as big as an iPad that you know is there, or whether it's a cell phone to help with, to help with their schoolwork, but it's a constant battle. Because kids will take their phones out on the playground at recess and they'll take a picture of someone and then they'll Photoshop it, and all of a sudden it's up on Facebook. And within a couple of hours, you've got a situation on your hands. All of that being handled very, very seriously. John mentioned something about things being mishandled. And there is such a stigma around the word bullying these days because of media reports and lack of understanding on the part of the public, and all of us, because we're really coming to terms with this every day. We're all learning. Is whether or not you label, and what label, the labeling a child a bully doesn't help, and supporting all students around all sides of this issue is how you have to approach it. It's very easy when it's your child that's been attacked to come in and shake the finger and talk about a bully. But all of those children need to be supported. And as an elementary principal, I think that's my job. The technology is evolving faster than, this is the story today in 2012. The technology is evolving faster than anything. I was at a principal's meeting at a school when, 2 years ago, when the computer site manager came in and said, "You won't believe what I just caught kids on." And I don't remember the name of the site, but it was a site that allowed you to initiate random chats. The purpose of the site was random chats. It wasn't you go and create a list of friends. It was you sign on, "Hi, I'm Lauren Gransinger. I want a random chat with anyone." And there was also video capability if you wanted it. Absolutely gobsmackingly frightening to us. With the development of Facebook and everyone wanting to be everyone's friend, I'm one of those people. I have over 1,000 friends on Facebook, and people say that I'm just too much. But those of you who are my friends in the room know that I have a lot of friends. And I do make connections with people, and I do keep those connections up. The Ontario College of Teachers has recommended that in the strongest words that it can, that teachers are not friends on Facebook or any of these other similar sites with their students. And it can be it's a very difficult line to walk, because you sign onto your Facebook and all of a sudden there are 10 requests because all of a sudden the kids have found your name somewhere, or you've got a school Facebook page and you're posting things and all of a sudden the kids want to be your friend. And you really do have to make sure that those lines are solid and you don't cross them.
Do you want me to pick up from there?
Yeah, is that okay?
All right, so when we get into high school, it's a little bit more interesting. I would say, not that it's not at the elementary level, but the cyberbullying becomes a bit more aggressive. I would say that once or twice a week, we're dealing with some form of cyberbullying. Most of it's on Facebook, just private conversations that are occurring between groups, or even on posting on one another's walls. And they can, some of the ones we've seen have gone as far as to threaten death, or they're posting modified pictures of other people on there. Probably one of the worst ones I've seen this year alone. Actually, there's 2 incidences. When you get to high school, everything becomes a lot more sexualized. And now that becomes a form of bullying. So they use sexual acts to bully one another. So An example of that would be probably, I would say 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a student, actually it was more like 2 or 3 months ago, it doesn't matter. We had a student who went to a party, got intoxicated, performed a sexual act on a guy that was there. I think your imagination can figure out what she was doing, but somebody videotaped it, and it was videotaped by numerous people at this party, but these 2 boys who had videotaped it from a different school halfway across the city had decided, hey, wouldn't it be great if we posted this on Facebook? So, you know, obviously we had some pretty upset parents in the school. There is my daughter doing a sexual act, and it's out there for everybody to see. These 2 boys alone, who posted it both on their pages, combined had over 1,000 people as friends. So that didn't go over too well, and of course, the police had to get involved, right? Because now that's distribution of child pornography because of her age. Did those boys think about that then? No. Did that girl think about what could have happened while she was partaking in that? No. But now, you know, it's been a couple months of damage control to try and get her, you know, the way the kids view her here to change, right? So that's one example. Another example, and I keep going back to this, but it's to give you a good idea of what could happen. A girl was dating a boy. They dated for about a year, and in the end, obviously, it didn't go so well and they broke up. Like most high school relationships, they're short-lived and they're quick. But unfortunately for this girl, while she was with this student, they videotaped themselves having sex. Well, guess what he was threatening to do if he ever saw her with another guy again? He was threatening to post that on Facebook. So again, police are in dealing with it again. You know, luckily we caught wind of that in time, on time before it could get posted to the internet. But when she was in that relationship doing that, she had no idea that it could down the road be used against her. So when I talk to my kids, and in my class, when I have a small class working with at-risk kids, you know, I tell them frequently, like, do not take pictures of yourself on your phone, whatever. Stop sending it to each other, because the girls are horrible for taking pictures of themselves in the nude, whatever, or even just suggestive pictures, and then they'll send it to their boyfriends at the time, and then wonder how, even when they're with those guys, it gets out to so-and-so and so-and-so. Well, the guy, hey, look at my girlfriend, they show off, one thing leads to another, they forward that to another person, and it carries on. So the girls really, we really have to educate them, especially on how to protect themselves. You can never trust or gauge how long a relationship's going to be. And I think when they're in high school, they think it's going to be forever. And it always comes back to bite them, more so than the guys, unfortunately. And I don't want to stereotype that way, but it's most of the cases we're dealing with are girls who have allowed, have taken photos of themselves, and now they're, you know, finding themselves in trouble because of that. On the other side of things, you now have the boys who are receiving these pictures. What they don't know is that they can be charged with, what's the word I'm looking for? Possession of child pornography and possible distribution of child pornography because of the ages we're dealing with here. So they have no idea, and I have the NRP officer or liaison officer in quite often, and that conversation comes up a lot, and you see the death look on their face, and they're like, I have no idea. but they're just they're not informed. So as a school, what we're trying to do now, we're going to have the ICE unit, which is the unit that the NRP that deals with child pornography, that kind of thing, come in and do a presentation to our students, informing them of you know, what kinds of things can happen. Another scary thing that can happen is there are older people who are taking on the aliases of younger people. So you have an older gentleman, an older woman, they find a nice picture. You can find any picture on the internet, type in good-looking girl. They use that now as their profile picture. They get guys or girls to sign on however, and you know, you have cyber stalking going on, and with the use of technology, they can now find them. So I'll finish up in a second here. It's just scary how much you can learn about a student on the internet. I know it's one of the tools that I use on a daily basis. I know exactly you know, what's going on in the school in terms of drugs, bullying, whatever, because I simply type in the name into Facebook. I know exactly what's happening at most times. There was an incident today where a boy over the weekend ran into some trouble, and now he's worried about a bunch of kids coming to school to beat him up. Well, how did they get the information? They looked him up on Facebook. He goes to Sir Winston, he lives here because he's taken a nice photo of himself in front of his house, and they can just pinpoint all these things. Facebook tells a person so much, can tell a person so much about an individual, and the police will tell you that too. You know, you could just look up somebody's Facebook site, you know how many people are in their family, where they're going on vacation, how long they're going to be gone for, where they currently are. It's unbelievable. And I think what children aren't understanding these days too is how that can affect them in the long run. Because what's on the internet, it's very hard to get that removed. So when you go to look for employment down the road, employers now are just Googling your name. And I had an interview last week where I thought, okay, I got to do a checkup. Not that I would have anything out there that would be, you know, concerning, but it was scary when I Googled my name and I thought, oh shoot. I used to participate in athletic events. That information's all up there, including my address, because to enter into that athletic event, I had to submit my address. Well, I didn't know that they would be posting it on the internet for everybody to see. But Google your name. That's what I tell kids. See what comes up, because an employer's going to look at that. You know, I know the dating world alone. Back when I was in it, I Google checked everybody out before I went on a date with them. I don't know who I'm meeting, right? The amount of information you can gain is unbelievably scary, and the kids aren't being properly informed as to how it can affect them. And I think we need to do a better job of making sure that they're informed. And sometimes they have to learn the hard way. But you know, if we can prevent that for most, that's what we need to try and do.
The police in Canada are trying to lobby the legislators to change the rules about texting in your car, aimed at the teenage market. It's, I think, $155 now. What they want to do, get this, is take your phone for a week. And an Ottawa cop told me if we do that, these kids will kill for their phone. This is the most important thing in their life, many of them. And many of them come from good homes. They're not the at-risk kids. Glenn?
Yeah, I was going to say before you go on, just to elaborate on a little bit on what you talked about. Yes, you were talking about the dating world. It's not so much here in Canada, but because of privacy laws, but you go to the United States, there's an iPhone app that you can, you know, a woman or a guy can look up exactly who they're dating, find all their information, find if they've been, you know, when they've been arrested, when, have they defaulted on loans, have they done this? This is coming to the iPhone directly. You had said about being able to, about the stalking part. I did a quick, how many people use Google? I'm assuming most people use Google. Okay, does anybody use Bing, of Microsoft? Okay. Do you know that there's a add-on to Bing that takes Twitter, that you can actually get the information and take somebody's handle or take a location and find out exactly where people are twittering at this exact moment? I did a quick test when I heard that I was going to speak here. Did a quick information. Unfortunately, there's no slides, so we couldn't bring it up. I took it at this location, and there was probably about 50, 60 Twitter tweets within a matter of about half an hour with all their information about what's going on. And I mean, that is so simple. You went to Bing, you tell it, look, I want to use the Twitter part, and it just shows you exactly what's going on with pictures, with everything. It's just too easy. And I mean, there's istalkyou.com. Thankfully, they've taken it down, but it was put up as a proof of concept to show you how much information is out there and about your kids and anybody that uses these phones. It's astonishing. And I think everyone's got to learn as a parent to use the parental devices and the parental controls that are put into these phones. Disable GPSs, disable stuff on Facebook, disable this. Make sure the camera doesn't add the GPS. Maybe they don't need to use camera. Maybe they only need to use it as a phone. Use the parental controls that are built in, and make sure that the kids understand it. Yes, they're going to complain, but let's face it, they're kids. They're always going to complain. Take the steps that need to be taken to protect the information that's out there. And you're right. You brought up Facebook. Checking yourself or Google yourself. There was I think it's going to the EFF in the United States about the employers that were looking to require you to give over their Facebook information, your login and password to get into your Facebook, so they can see the stuff that you don't do. That's getting there. That's whether that's ethical or not, it's getting there, and it's going to be in their future. There is no privacy anymore, unfortunately.
This discussion continues with parts 2 and 3.